round two. We had, you guys, it was like the best intro I think we've had in a hot minute.
A lot of rambling.
It was right off the cuff, but you know what? Maybe it'll come up next time, and we'll see that much passion.
It's like what I tell myself
personality.
when I have a brain fart and I forget something. I'm like, well, if it's that important, it'll come back eventually.
It'll come back, yeah.
Whatever.
But anywho, here we are. Happy April 3rd.
Welcome back to Couch Convos.
3rd. Is today the 3rd?
Yeah.
Oh.
Why is that surprising?
I don't know. For some reason, I thought yesterday was April Fool's Day, but now I'm guessing it's not.
No.
No, it would have been the 2nd yesterday.
It's like a weird week.
Very fast. Last week was slow. This week felt fast.
I'm interested to see what next week does because so many folks are on spring break. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to feel like very slow or very fast. Hoping to fit a few extra walks in next week.
Ooh, yeah, some outside time. Maybe it'll rain a little bit, get the pollen out.
I want to be a lizard still.
Find yourself a good rock.
Well, welcome back to the pod.
Hello, friends. Yeah, and so today we are chatting about something that's been coming up a lot in the media. And also people kind of come into therapy wanting this work too, which is really cool. I obviously I love when clients come in and they're like, this is intriguing to me. Like, okay, tell me about it. What does this mean to you?
Because I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, this happened, or I feel like I'm depressed. But whenever people come in and they're like, I want to work with my inner child, I'm like, oh, one, what does that mean to you? And two, like, okay, trauma work, like, let's get it.
Yeah. So that's our topic today, you guys, is the inner child.
The inner little chickens.
Yeah. Our little nuggets. And like we said, this is all over Instagram, TikTok, TV shows, podcasts, all the things.
Everywhere.
Some people don't even realize that it's popping up in this way, and other people are like, we're targeting this concept.
Yes. I feel like it's especially for our millennials too.
Yeah.
Who have like the sweep it under the rug generation above them, and then the feel a lot of things lower generation. I feel like that's inner child work is a lot of millennial work too.
Yeah. We're like, where do we fit?
I feel like it's like millennial and like Gen Xers doing it a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's just like that reel that I sent you, I think it was yesterday, with the guy that was like, I want to bring back these millennial terms. And it was like, talk to the hand, totes my goats, which I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about all of these.
I say a lot of them still, though.
And I'm like, those were great.
I know.
But
they're cringe, but whatever.
Yeah. Who cares? We're cringe. I'll be cringe.
But again,
it's fine.
Much like everything else, because these things are very like in pop psychology now, when it's talked about so much and there's a lot of like over consumption of it, it's losing its meaning. It's it's a lot like self-care. I feel like is people kind of assume self-care is what pop psychology says, which sometimes it's like a face mask or a coffee, as much as we want to think. But things like inner child work, it might not be what pop psychology says or what social media says sometimes. And sometimes, again, like it can lose its meaning. Yeah. Lost in translation a little bit.
Yeah. And so on Instagram and like in the TV right now, we're hearing things like, oh, your inner child or my inner child is triggered. We need to heal our inner child. And then like even down to like reparenting. I need to reparent myself. Yeah. And a lot of people, think they know what this means. Right. But then when it comes to the actual trauma work in the room, it's like, oh, that actually was very different.
Yes.
Yeah. But before we get into that, what was little Sarah Erdman like? Because you were Erdman back then.
I was Erdman back then.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to think about how I will be my married name longer than I'll be my maiden name.
I know, that's wild.
Because when I think of my mom, I'm like, I can't imagine her with her maiden name. But I love it now. Like for a while, I was like, I remember I was at like a doctor's appointment right after we got married. And I like didn't respond to them calling my name, but now I'm like, I'm very proud of it. It's nice. Again, like my spouse is doing a lot of inner child work himself, and he's worked really hard on like recreating and like redefining the narrative of what his name means to him. Aww. So it's really cool. He talks about like, ooh, like I want to make sure like Jordan means something different. Really cool. And he'd be fine if I said that. So I think little me was very outgoing, very bubbly as a toddler. I think I also, just because like I'm the younger sibling, I had a built-in best friend and someone to play with. So I was really outgoing, really bubbly. And then at about like age 8 or so, I got really quiet and really timid. And And then I like floated around different friend groups, and I never really like had my fit. I just got pretty anxious around second grade, which is funny because like I think about in our first go around of recording this, you mentioned your horoscope.
Yeah.
That actually like the shift and like the dichotomy of like how I changed is actually like right on par with my sign apparently. But my sign also gets like a lot of heat, so I don't even want to say it on the podcast because people hate my sign, and I want to, and like if you don't want to work with me because I'm a Gemini, like okay. But I didn't realize like how hot and cold that sign is.
Yeah.
But I do realize that like me starting my life very extroverted, very bubbly, like life of the party, and then going to the wallflower, it kind of fits that really well.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Ooh, Gemini. Geminis and Scorpios.
I married a Scorpio.
Yeah. Those are the two that get the most heat, I feel like. Yeah. So for me,
for each other.
Yeah. For me, I am a Leo, and I was telling when we were recording this the first time, I was talking about how I feel like I'm the complete opposite end of what a Leo is. So for all of my horoscope sign people out there, which I don't even know a ton because apparently there's like moon waxing and waning in your fire signs and water signs.
Three,
and
I think.
Yeah,
it's like your sun, your moon, and your reg.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either. But yeah, so with Leos, apparently they're very fiery, very outgoing, want to be the center of attention, very much like strong will, which I will say I'm strong-willed. I'm pretty stubborn about some things. But very much I want to be out there, voice my word, all the things. Whereas when I was a kid, and even kind of now sometimes, very shy, very timid, very self-conscious. I was a little anxious girly. I remember like anytime I would get in trouble, I would truly become a puddle. And like, I think I even still think about this to this day, that when I was in elementary school, I'm pretty sure it was like second grade, I told my music teacher that this was boring because we were watching a movie we had watched for many, many years. Every year it was the Nutcracker. We watched it every Christmas, and we were watching it in class, and I was like, this is boring. And then I literally cried so much to the point I made myself throw up, and I didn't want to go to school the next day.
Oh my gosh,
because I felt so bad.
That hurts my soul. I also have an anecdote like that too, actually, which is wild. But that just makes me so sad.
Right? Ugh. Like, isn't it just? But that was me. Like, I was 100% very self-conscious, very timid, very shy, like the definition of a wallflower.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, if you think about like this inner child concept, are there big phrases that you see right now? Yeah, so in the media, I think a lot of like, my inner child needed this. Yes. And I think they're hilarious. Where it'll be like them sipping with their girlies, just like talking about stuff, and it's like, oh, my inner child needed this. A Caesar salad, French fries, and Diet
Coke.
It's
a girl dinner or whatever it might be, or a hot girl walk.
Yes.
And they're hilarious, but it does bring up this idea of like, hey, that's not actually what that is.
Yeah, it's not. I think like you just needed a break.
Yeah.
And a Diet Coke and a walk.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah. Do you see something different in like your algorithm and or clients?
I'm seeing a lot of like, I need to heal my inner child. And I actually don't agree with that language either. I don't think our inner child needs to be healed because that's shaming. That's like shame-based language to me. Because I think like heal is like a very neutral and it veers like positive. Yeah. But if we're thinking about healing our inner child, that's part of us. Yeah. And it's not broken. It doesn't need to shift. We just need to have a different relationship with it.
It needs to be heard, not healed.
Yes. Like we need to care for our inner child differently. We don't have to heal it. It's not broken. It's not fractured. Yeah. It just is. Right. But that's just my thing.
Yeah. So what does it mean? What does it actually mean to talk about your inner child? Yeah. And so like in the therapeutic space, when we say inner child, it's your experiences from childhood, whether that's in school, with parent relationships, with friendship relationships, environmental, socioeconomic status.
Because even I think about like we are the 9/11 babies. Because we were in crucial developmental age. Because we were young children when 9/11 hit. Yeah.
I've tried to think back to where I was and what I was doing, and for some reason I felt like I was in class watching it on TV.
Yeah.
Then I asked my parents, and they're like, no, that did not happen.
I remember it very distinctly.
Yeah.
Because also, like, I have, like, family up north.
Right.
And I remember, like, my mom was crying, teachers were crying, and things like that. But, again, like, environmental, like, these COVID babies, like, the pandemic children.
Yeah.
Which now, I don't even think about it, but, like, I see elementary age clients, and I talk about if they have, like an insecurity or something that pops up with, like, their academic standing, and all of a sudden these parents are like, oh, well, like, they had kindergarten through COVID.
Oh,
and I'm like, that's, oh gosh.
Literally the baseline groundwork for learning and just being around people.
Or I mean, like, looking at, like, middle schoolers, and I realized, like, oh my gosh, you had COVID in such a crucial developmental age. No wonder, like, social skills are hard for you.
Yeah.
So things like that. But again, like, our inner children develop in that developmental period of early childhood attachment. So we can just say that's like toddlerhood through, it's like middle school almost. Sometimes high school. Like, when I think of mine, it's a lot of, like, high school influence.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of just, like, your upbringing. But again, like, that part of you holds emotional memories, attachment patterns. So think about, like, our attachment episode. But also that part of us holds our reactions to things, and, like, how we learned how to react to certain experiences.
Yeah. We've talked about this before of we are not just one thing. We are not just thoughts. We are not just emotions. We're thoughts and emotions, but also like body of even how your body responds to certain situations can be coming up through, like, your inner child experiences, or, you know, earlier on the situations that you were in. So it does cause those, like, automatic responses.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times we're like, God, why is this happening? It's like, hey, there actually might be a very scientific reason for why your body is responding in this capacity that's not even from the past 5 years.
Yeah. And obviously, like, we can't talk about inner child without trauma. So obviously, unfortunately, like, again, in our trauma episode, we talked about, like, early childhood trauma, and those experiences do impact that inner child. They might not define who our inner child is, but they're a really big influence on our inner child. Again, it's like how we receive information, how we react, our core beliefs about ourselves and about the world, also our unmet needs.
Yeah.
That is so much of our inner child. It's just like what needs weren't met consistently early on.
Right. So when you think about your inner child, or the inner child that actually, let's do what clients.
Yeah.
What clients have seen, like, the work for you in the room.
Yeah.
What does that typically look like for inner child patterns?
What I notice in inner children work with my adult clients is all invalidation. And it's like that I'm fine.
Yep.
Or I'm just going to minimize how I experience this, or things like that. And it's funny. I see a lot of, like, these inner children pop up when I ask someone at the beginning of session how they're doing. It almost,
We're good.
That almost feels like a projective test sometimes. Especially as, like, we work with each other long term. The first few sessions, I get it. They're all going to say they're good.
Yeah.
But, like, my long-term established clients, sometimes when I'm like, hey, I actually don't ask, like, how are you as much anymore. I say, like, what has it been like in your brain? Or how has the world been treating you? Or, like, what has been life like inside your head lately?
Yeah.
I don't like the phrase, how are you? But I notice a lot of them, their initial reaction and their response to that question is their inner child popping up.
Yeah.
What do you see?
So of course I work a lot with perfectionists and people pleasers. So with that, a lot of that internalized shame coming up through, like, our self-talk of, well, I shouldn't be upset about this, or, like, I just need to get over it, or no, it's actually really okay. I think I'm just being dramatic.
Yeah.
And you even mentioned the, how are you? Every single one of my clients, I open the door, I'm like, hey, and they're like, hey, how are you? Like, instantly go to checking in with me. And I give them the, like, I'm good. Just very quick, end with the period.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, now let's start. Because a lot of it is very much like that, okay, I got to make sure everyone around me is okay.
Yeah.
Because potentially, like, that is what's coming up from their inner child if I got to be aware. So a lot of internalized shame and self-talk.
Now, what about you as a human? When does little baby Caroline pop up?
So, of course, like, art imitates life. And for me, I've said that 4 times this week.
You've also been saying whimsy a lot lately.
I have been saying whimsy a lot, which, just side note, I had a little inner child moment where I was like, I really just don't want to go and do like adult things tomorrow. And so I slept on the couch and had like a little like sleepover just to have a little whimsical inner child. Like it's like a little sleepover for the night. Put on like Harry Potter and fell asleep on the couch, and that was a great little reprieve. But for me, my inner child patterns typically are based on being hyper aware of other people. Overthinking interactions, making sure like, are they okay? Are they mad at me? I need to make sure that I say everything okay so that they're okay. Because if they're okay, then I'm okay.
Right.
So that's typically my pattern. What about yours?
I have two. I can't really go into one of them. Yeah. But one of them is when specific comments are made while like eating, and like specific comments made about consuming food. That's one that I noticed my reaction is like, ooh, that's not me currently, that's a different version, right? But a big one is, and I actually didn't know this until recently. It's taken me 3 decades to find it. But you're gonna look at me and be like, this 3 is decades new to you. I've known this for 10 years. And minimizing physical pain. I know. But like I didn't realize it, because and that's the thing is like, again, I had a it's not major but it's not minor, midway surgery. No, I can say last month, 3 weeks ago actually, and I didn't know this, and I feel kind of dumb thinking about it, and I keep telling my spouse like I feel like I missed a meeting when I was growing up. I didn't realize you have to recover from surgery. I didn't know that. And I didn't know recovery is slow.
More than 2 days.
I mean, I texted you and I was like, why do I feel bad? And you had to
guys, this was day 2.
And it was one of those,
literally day 2.
Or I could tell you were probably on the other side of the phone being like, are you okay? But again, I just didn't know. And so I think it's a lot of like minimizing pain and also like asking for help. That's my big one too. But we just learn things. So okay, when we work on our inner child, it does matter. It's not just like a pop phrase, right? And it does matter for a reason. But again, because it's this idea of your current reactions are tied to these early experiences, very much so.
Right, exactly. And so we see a lot of this in pop culture of like TikTok, like, why am I like this? Or even you guys, if you're watching Secret Life of Mormon Wives.
I'm sorry, the EMDR session.
I've seen a lot of stuff on that, and when I even watched it, I was like,
my friends, that's not, again, I imagine because the therapist was like, I'm sure that they were like demoing. I would
be so uncomfortable also. Just also being in that like, spot.
Honestly, EMDR should not be, it shouldn't be publicized.
Right.
That's not classic EMDR. It's everywhere in Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Of them talking about like past trauma, inner children.
Yes. Especially our girl Taylor.
Oh, bless her. I hope she's okay.
I do too. I pray for her.
I hope she's okay.
But then also, and I'm gonna caveat this by saying, do not watch this show and binge it, because it'll get you in a dark spot.
I've never seen it. So.
Euphoria.
I've never seen it.
I could only watch 1 to 2 episodes, and I would have to go watch Disney Channel. But it does a lot of flashbacks. It'll be talking about the specific character, and it'll flashback to them essentially dressed as their current, which they're in high school, their current attire, which I can't imagine my high school allowing me to dress in that attire. Sure. But going back, and it'll say like, this is why I am the way I am is because of the childhood me. But yes, don't try and binge that show. It can take you to a dark place. I guess fast.
Though, like if you've seen the show, that could be a powerful therapeutic technique. But that sounds intense.
No, it's intense. Like even I would say it's worse than the feeling that I got with 13 Reasons Why.
Oh, before they edited it or after?
I guess I would have seen it before.
I saw it before.
Because I saw it when it first came out.
Yep.
No, it's...
Oh gosh, that like gives me chills.
Yeah, it honestly like I could feel like physical responses. Yeah, like needing to like actually throw up during it. So just caveat, little warning.
Yeah. So we'll say on a lighter end, the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary.
Go.
Did you watch it?
I haven't.
Okay, so Miley Cyrus and this is great timing. I do feel like subconsciously this is what inspired today's episode, I will say.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus released a song to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Hannah Montana, and it's called It's Younger You, and she's talking to her younger self.
That's beautiful.
And like the video she released, it's so sweet, and like the way she's talking to herself, I think just for our generation, it just like hits different.
Yeah, hits home.
That's just like, that's a beautiful way to talk about your inner child.
Yeah.
And I hope that it comes up in a session.
Yeah.
I really do. I hope people are like, I want to do this. Like, yes.
Like,
absolutely.
first, listen to this song.
Look at the song.
So when we think about like our responses, our reactions when it comes to that inner child work, the reason it is so important is because it's coming up from the past. And a lot of us don't really recognize that there are like memories and responses that can get trapped inside of like our body,
so
our
layered.
nervous system. Like, and so when those things happen, like it comes up. It is not just a response based on this event right now on this day in this moment. Correct. It's actually another one that maybe happened 10 years ago and then 12 years ago and even further back.
Well, I think a great way to describe this sometimes is like, we've referenced it in past episodes actually, is if you feel like you're a different version of yourself when you go visit your family of origin for the holidays, that is your inner child having a need that's not met. And again, that's why it's so important, is so that you can take that feeling, and one, you can feel more in control of your facilities a little bit more, and like kind of destigmatize that shame, but also think about like, there's a need here. If I meet that, it's just a whole new level of safety that will tap into those very concrete foundational layers for you.
Yeah. And this can feel overwhelming, you know, to clients, because it's like, hey, I want you to go back into your childhood. And then instantly people flash to like psychodynamic theory of a white man sitting in a pristine room laying down. Tell me about your childhood. So how do you explain the impact of like, hey, this response isn't just about right now, but instead this is something coming up from like your inner child or childhood experience?
I do kind of reference like the going back to visit family for holidays if it's relevant to the client, because it's honestly kind of shocking. When I bring it up to folks, everybody has an instant like, oh yeah, I do feel like I revert to a past version of myself when I'm with my family of origin for holidays. And it's not just like, this is the holiday me. It's like, nope, this is a different developmental stage. So I bring it up in that way. I also kind of bring up an imagery kind of like a memory foam mattress of the divots that are there. And like some of them will look different than others. Certain things you squish into a mattress will make different indentions and different shapes. It doesn't take away from the whole purpose of the mattress. You can still sleep on it, but it will change your experience of laying on it. So what do you do?
Well, I typically always start with the question of like, hey, when have we felt this before? Like, go ahead and like start tying it into
like they have the answers already.
Built autonomy of like, when have we noticed this happening before? And then they're like, oh, actually in like third grade, and then go into that. I'm like, huh, interesting. I'm like, what do you think's happening there? And they're usually like, well, I don't know, that was so long ago. So I kind of like to bring in the idea of like stuck points. Of how there's moments in our life that things feel like stuck, they feel unfinished, and that a lot of times when those experiences arise again, that's your body trying to carry out a stuck point. I can bring in like, oh, let's think about our closet. Imagine you haven't looked in your closet since 5th grade, and you have this outfit that you really love, and you take it out and you try and put it on because you used to really love it. And now it doesn't fit. And so talking about how like this is kind of your body trying to bring out a part of you that doesn't really fit where we are right now, but it also is still in the closet, and it's still something that is prevalent and is there.
Absolutely.
Also neuroplasticity. But that's for my science girls and boys, that they're like, I want to talk about the brain. Or like, let's talk about neural pathways.
Oh my gosh.
I know it. I love it. Anytime I get to say neurotransmitter in session, I'm like, goosies. This is going to be fun.
I did an entire neuroscience and like biofeedback based session for like complex trauma processing recently. Client was amazing, so good. And I was so proud, and I left that session and I was like, I love science.
Same. But yeah, so that's typically how I will chat about it.
Yeah. Well, then when have you caught yourself? Like, is there a specific instance that you can think of where you caught yourself when you were like, "Oh, that's not me. That's little me."
Yeah, so I love my parents.
They're great.
Love my parents.
Can sign off.
Right. I go home every other Monday because I will see people out of Rome, and so I'll stay at my parents' house and that kind of thing. And there's been times where we've been discussing either decisions or just life in general, and if I feel like I'm not being heard by my parents, I literally go straight into like 10-year-old me of like tears. I even raise my voice and start like yelling, and thankfully this has not happened in a hot minute. But because I've learned to process with that.
Calming your
yes, we have. But typically it's conversations like with my parents that are around decision making or honestly just like opinions that differ. Yeah, and so that comes up.
Yeah, for sure.
Where I would be punished for that before, but now I'm an adult, so I'm like, I can yell now, and not appropriate. Yeah, but that's me.
That's true. I think for me, you don't have to respond to this one, by the way, because it might hit. I am a firm believer that everyone who is planning their nuptials should be in intensive therapy because my inner child was very loud. Yeah. Whole time I was planning my wedding. Yeah. And I like joked with my fiance at the time, and I like kind of joked. I was like, I feel like I'm sitting at the kitchen table doing my math homework, and I just can't get it, and no one's helping me, and I'm ripping my hair out. Like the ripping my hair out at a kitchen table feeling. And it was like, I don't feel like I'm being heard. I don't feel like I'm being seen. And it showed up a lot when I was planning my wedding because I was very uncomfortable voicing wants and voicing needs. Yeah. But it was funny because everyone expected that. They were like, no, we want to know very specifically what you want. Yeah. And that actually makes it easier for us. But I got so frustrated. And then when it wasn't being received with respect, that's when I had like that. I felt like I was a young kid again and no one was hearing me. Yeah. Or if they were hearing me and I felt like I was too much in that moment, that's when that came out a lot. And just anytime I've been in physical pain. Oh, well, yeah. There's that younger part of me that's being told, like,
push through.
Suck it up.
Yeah. Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah. If it was that bad, you'd be dead by now. That's also generational.
Right.
Parents are great. Right. But it was that idea of like, if it was that bad, it would be dead by now. Yeah. I'm recovering from something, and again, I showed up today. I had another doctor's appointment this morning, and I said, hey, just to know, like, this is relevant. I had this procedure name 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden the PA looked at me and she was like, oh my gosh, how are you feeling?
You're like, I'm very frustrated that I can't go to my workouts anymore.
And I was just like, I'm fine. Like, why do you ask? And she was, that's a pretty major procedure. So, that inner child. Yeah. So again, when we think about inner child work, that is why it matters. But we do have to really catch on, like, what it's not, because I feel like people talk about like what it's not and they think it is. Yeah. A great example of it. So when I was recovering from all of this, I had a friend who, you've seen the movies or the activities where people will like eat the movie. So like if there's a movie and there's like food in it, they'll send you all the courses. So it was really sweet. Like one of the nicest things. And she sent me everything for Princess Diaries. Oh, one of my all-time favorite movies. Like I had such a great time. It was also like a sit on your butt and don't do anything. Great idea for anybody.
That is a great idea.
I know. I was like, I'm going to steal this. So the scene where Mia and her mom are popping the balloons, she sent me Gushers. Ooh, so fun. But
also love a gusher.
So I have to say, friends, when I had these Gushers, and my husband obviously had them with me, we were talking about childhood snacks. Yeah. With all due respect, that is not inner child work. Because, like, you know what? In that moment, I could have said, like, my inner child needed this. Yeah. Which, like, kind of, but that's not inner child work, my friends. That's just, like, revisiting childhood snacks in that moment. Right. Love them.
They are. They're delicious.
I've been introducing my nephew to Fruit by the Foot and like the tongue tattoos of fruit roll-ups.
Fruit by the Foot, dude.
No, shrinkflation hit Fruit by the Foot. They're a lot thinner now.
No, they're not.
They're smaller.
This is what's wrong with the world.
I know, but I was teaching him how to like take it all out. And
Yeah. And then gotta roll it up a little bit.
Again, like me revisiting my childhood snacks, that was not inner child work.
Right. Nor is like self-care days alone.
Yeah.
Of just like, I'm going to isolate.
Right. I'm in sometimes a rot day.
Oh, yeah.
Again, certain situations.
Right.
Potentially.
Right. There's nuance, of course, with everything that we say.
But like we say, a rot day is usually ignoring your physical needs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not usually inner child work if you're neglecting yourself.
Yeah. And then also, this one's hard to say, but retail therapy.
Add to cart.
Yeah, that add to cart of like, oh, the jelly shoes. You know, the jelly shoes that have come back and be like, I just have to have these jelly shoes. This is my inner child
sweaty those were.
But do love the smell in the beginning.
Yeah.
The smell later.
It's a Polly Pocket clothing.
It is a Polly. I saw something on Instagram. It was like, I could really use a Polly Pocket shoe now.
We're really calling ourselves out for being millennials right now. But okay.
But it's great.
But a great thing of like buying yourself things in that regard was not inner child work, but actually in a book I'm listening to right now. Yeah. Not going to say the name of it because I'll tell you about later.
Okay.
But one of the main characters had a lot of food insecurity growing up. And so now as an adult, he keeps boxes of his favorite snacks in his car.
Yeah.
That would be inner child work.
Right.
Because like, again, like the reactions to potential food insecurity brings up that unmet need. And so this book character like has ways to calm that part of them in their car. So that would be like a buying yourself thing, but that actually is inner child work.
Yeah.
Not just like, I want some Gouchers and jelly shoes and Polly Pockets.
Which, like, fair if you want that. Sick.
Even though I did buy a Barbie for a friend's child recently, and that just like felt good in my soul.
The Barbies are so cool now too.
It was a retro astronaut Barbie. That's for Julia's kiddo.
Oh,
I know.
Precious. This next one, I feel like this is where we see it quite a bit. Of avoiding accountability, of just being like,
my inner child,
or like, I'm just gonna completely cut off this relationship because this is not okay with my inner child, or because they blah 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 blah. So yeah, avoiding the accountability of us like being an adult now.
Well, and this is kind of one of my favorite ones too, is blaming everything on your childhood.
Ooh.
Listen, I am a very attachment-based, complex trauma-based therapist. A lot is from our childhood.
Yeah.
I would argue more is about our childhood than not. If I cut someone off this morning and I flipped on the bird, can't blame that on childhood.
Right. Of what has happened to us is not our fault, but our response, that is something we do have control over.
There's a fair few things where I'm like, I'm hearing a blame on childhood, and I'm like, is that an excuse or an explanation? Because again, like, I think that's a great explanation of how we got here, but I don't think it excuses maltreating somebody or maltreating yourself.
For sure. So social media, we've talked about this a lot, and how social media is an amazing thing, and we're so glad that they're bringing awareness to mental health and all of these buzzwords. But there's some misconceptions.
There's some big butts.
There's and they cannot lie, but actually they do. But God,
we should do podcasts twice just to get like
the complete savagery in the second one.
I know, I've even like repositioned my mic so I can like lean back.
Oh, it's getting serious.
I know.
But creating personas of like our inner child and our identity to excuse harming others intentionally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, again, we can't talk about this work without mentioning trauma. And like also considering there are very specific traumas that occur in early childhood that will biologically stunt your growth. You know, if people took psych classes, like Psych 1, you'd learn about what is it? Which stages are these? Not Piaget stages, not Erickson stages, but like the oral, anal, phallic, and latent stage.
Oh, that's Freud.
Okay, of course it is. But again, if you think about, again, I'm not a Freudian gal, but you know, these are very legit stages of if you have a trauma in certain stages of development, you will get stuck there. And these are very specific traumas. And if you have questions about them, please talk to your therapist or call us. But that will stunt you. And so I think that a lot of people in the media kind of like make inner child work their personalities and kind of shame those who have been like developmentally stuck sometimes. So please know that if you do feel like truly stuck in a previous stage of your development, like there's more than likely a trauma tie.
Yeah.
And that's not really what we're referring to here. And please refer into our trauma episode too for that.
Yeah.
Or our attachment trauma or our attachment episode. But we did want to kind of make that caveat of like, hey, this inner child could be stuck in a place of a lot of intense harm and traumatic experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with that, of recognizing that like awareness is great, of saying like, hey, my inner child is triggered, or my inner child is coming up. Great awareness. I'm glad that we're checking in with ourselves and where we're at in that space, but that's not where the work stops.
Correct.
Then we move into the second phase of, okay,
what do we do with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think that where do you see this kind of language used to maybe avoid growth sometimes?
Yeah. Definitely relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like relationships is a big one, especially with like conflict of we're in these conversations and we're using it as a reason of like, well, I don't feel like I need to find compromise.
Yeah.
Of like, I was not heard, so I 100% need to be heard and I don't need to hear the other person out. And then like not wanting to understand different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I notice it a lot in some of my clients who consider going no contact with a family member, but they choose not to for X, Y, and Z reason. A lot of the time we have to talk about like, okay, if this person has had abusive tendencies in the past or have just maltreated you in the past, haven't changed really their stripes, and you're around them, your inner child is really loud. And like, I know for a lot of folks, they kind of avoid that growth to protect others.
Yeah.
And they just harm themselves in the process.
Yeah.
And they're harming that inner little part of them too. Because that like little part of them is saying like, I don't feel safe around this person. And that doesn't mean you have to go no contact, but that does kind of imply like, ooh, like I deserve to do something about this or to say something about this.
Yeah. And a hard thing when we're talking about inner child is of course like balancing accountability with validation. I know a lot of people believe that therapy, we've talked about this before, is pure, like we validate pure 100%. Yeah. Which of course, like we will always validate where a feeling is coming up.
Sure.
However, the truth or the behind the scenes action
like how
of
it
said
comes
feeling, that is something that, you know, it's not just straight like, oh, okay, yeah, this person made you angry, go do this to them.
Yeah.
Of like, we do have to balance that. And so when looking into that, what does that look like in the room with you?
I actually think of something I saw on social media this week by a therapist, and they talked about the differences between sympathy, empathy, and pity. And I was like,
pity, that's,
I don't really vibe with a lot of the things this person says. We actually like have very similar beliefs, but the way that we express it's different.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that conversation of pity versus sympathy and empathy. And I think that's a great way to talk about validation and accountability. And with client work, if I notice that we're towing that line, and if I feel like a client might feel reactive, we always talk about safety. And like, I'm wondering if you're feeling emotionally safe in this moment. Yeah. And how can we feel emotionally safe? And how can I help you feel emotionally safe? But also take accountability for these actions. Right. And that's very uncomfortable work. Yeah. I usually do some kind of like somatic work. Or we incorporate art therapy or creative therapy because so many people have those early childhood experiences centered around creativity. And sometimes like having like a creative outlet while we process is really healing to that part of us too. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, what does that work actually look like then? Obviously we mentioned like creativity and just highly individualized treatment. Yeah.
So one is noticing, of course, like noticing as it comes up. We have to have that awareness piece in there because that's our first stop. But then also identifying that need, that unmet need, that like of, hey, okay, I'm noticing this is happening, but what's underneath that? What's behind that? Yeah. As well as like the response.
Yes. And again, like responding differently. And again, it's not minimizing that inner child. It's not thinking of it as like this quote unquote like weird part of you or even a dramatic part of you. I see that a lot of people saying, well, I was just being too dramatic at this point or to this or to that. It's like, oh, come on now. I was actually doing like a parent coaching recently that was very similar, and they were talking about working or parenting a child with ADHD. And I challenged them. I said, hey, I want us to look at the language we're using. And we're saying, I want them to just get their shoes on, just get their homework done. And I mentioned how with neurodivergency, everything that lies in the just is so shame-based. And so again, it's responding differently. It's not just this or just that. It's really honoring where you didn't have that care consistently.
Or should this, should that. So while the internet's great for awareness,
certain things,
a lot of healing means showing up for ourselves. And in showing up for ourselves, we have a whole podcast on this one too. Check that one out. But it's identifying and moving towards like meeting that need that was not met. And so like as a moment to like reflect in on some skills or some questions that we could ask ourselves, pausing, recognizing that somatic moment there, like what's the body telling us, identifying, labeling, and then saying like, what am I feeling? Let's label it, name it to tame it.
Absolutely.
Buzzword on this podcast. And then even moving further in, okay, how old does this feeling feel? And this is not like, have I had this for the past 30 minutes?
Right.
This is like, okay, is this for me 30-year-old me, or is this 5-year-old me? Which for me, I can't hardly remember anything past like 8. So
I can't either.
And as I'm getting older, I'm like, ooh.
I didn't realize you were the same way. That actually makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, no, a lot of my childhood stuff, I'm like, wow, I don't remember a lot of this.
I say my first true memory is in kindergarten, and I didn't realize that was really bad.
Oh.
I know.
Look at you bucking the system even back then. So checking in with like what that feeling is this me age or is this inner child age? And then like, what do I need from that? And sometimes this means acting upon it. Sometimes it's just recognizing it.
Or even not acting, resisting the impulse.
And then what could I give myself right now? So if it is something like, okay, I would like to be heard, I need connection, maybe we reach out to a friend. If it's, okay, I'm feeling a need to be active, to move, is that because it's based out of anxiety that's coming up about this feeling? And if that's the case, maybe we do a reverse action and ground, sit in that moment. But the act on the need.
Well, and again, this work is very overwhelming and can be very dysregulating for people. Is there a certain way specifically that you help clients kind of do this work and access those thoughts and memories without overwhelm?
So one, this is like a caveat when doing therapy with me, is I'm 100% transparent and I want you to be transparent with me. And what I mean in that is like, if something is getting to a point of I am uncomfortable, we're going to take a pause.
Yes.
Like that is necessary in this. A lot of people think, oh, you go to therapy, you got to push through. No, complete opposite of
we just talked about discomfort versus pain or harm. I can't remember what word we used. I think harm.
Wow, we've done a lot of podcasts. Look at us.
I know.
But of like really checking in with those, I usually go into SUDS. So we talk about, I always forget, significant units of distress scale. Is that right? Okay. So from like a 0 to 10 of how uncomfortable this is feeling, we'll always check in with that first of like, where are we at right now? Do we need to regulate through this? And as we're talking, making sure that I am attuning to their body, because sometimes people don't want to recognize their SUDS because they're like, I'm just going to push. So I have to be knowledgeable of that. But I also like, when we are outside of session, I have this nifty, I know it's a worksheet, you guys, it's a worksheet, but it has the feeling associated with potential, like what it's trying to convey to us, as well as like associated needs that typically occur with that. And so it's something that you can take that's tangible of like, okay, when my brain is not braining because we are flipped lid state, here's something that I can like actively just pull out. It's already a tool that's good for me to be able to just look at and kind of identify quickly with like where I'm at. But a lot of checking into body language. That's
a good
typically
worksheet,
how,
that's cool.
I enjoy having something to hold in my hands, and I like to make things pretty.
Exactly.
So I try to make them aesthetically pleasing. But
I think when I'm working with clients on this inner child work, sometimes what I like to do is create an emotional timeline. And I even asked things like, when you were a toddler, do you remember how you were described in terms of your emotions and your temperament? Like when I think of like my nephews, one of my nephews is not yet in that true toddlerhood stage, but the other one who's a little bit older, I would describe him in toddlerhood as like curious, as stubborn, as adventurous, and as like fun and like wildly curious and brilliant. And so instead of like making a timeline of like events, we would do a timeline of emotion. So in like toddlerhood, this is how your emotions were. Like for me, I'd say in elementary school, kindergarten to second grade, bubbly, excited, carefree. Second grade to fifth grade, timid, shy, nervous. And so we kind of create that timeline. And so first of all, it's tangible and it's visual, and it helps people land on how old am I feeling right now when they have that activation in the now. But then also if there are kind of traumatized, which there usually are, or if there's more discomfort, I add what I call our anchors. And so we add positive anchors into the timeline. So maybe in the stage of being quiet and timid, you also met your best friend. We're going to put that on the timeline. Or we're going to have we went to Disneyland for the first time. We're going to put that there. So it gives you safety in these periods of a little bit of like unsettled thought and feeling.
Ooh, love that. So moving into reparenting, and
a buzz phrase.
Yes. And I'm going to caveat this with saying reparenting does not mean that you hate your parents.
No.
I feel like this is the biggest thing.
Sometimes, but like, no.
Like, I think this is the biggest thing therapists we get a bad rap for, of like, oh, so you're going to go to therapy and then you're going to hate me at the end. It's like,
we hear that so
much. This is not what we are saying.
Okay.
Another one, two things can be true.
Yes. Well, and again, like, does this happen often? It does. It does. Is that the intention of therapy? No. It's a side effect sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially with trauma work and attachment-based processing.
Right. And recognizing that, like, you know, even when we have had difficult situations with people in our life, that does not necessarily take away the love that we have for them.
Correct.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hey, but I'm just throwing that out there, that this is not what reparenting means.
Right.
On its face. So reparenting, essentially what this means is you are giving yourself what you did not receive. So those needs, whether that was emotional, physical, mental, relational, whatever that looks like, if you were showing up for yourself now in your older state to provide those when we're recognizing that need was not provided before.
Absolutely. And I think that sometimes people can kind of take this and run with it. And they're like, well, I wanted this new scooter when it came out when I was a kid. And my parents said no. So I need to buy myself everything now. Yeah. Let's pause. And like true reparenting would look like, hey, were you denied your wants consistently in childhood? Consistency is the key word here. And you know what? If someone said, no, it's like, okay, let's talk about the disappointment of the scooter. Obviously meant a lot for you. And so maybe it's not an issue of reparenting, but of like voicing your wants and feeling rejected. Yeah. But true reparenting is like, if you were denied things consistently, how can you give yourself that now? And so it looks different than you expect. It looks like things like structure in your life. Like, again, like if you were denied your wants consistently as a child, maybe reparenting that now is having a budget for fun and that you use it. You don't just budget the money, you use it, and it's not a self-sabotaging amount. It could be $50 every 3 months. That's yours and you enjoy it. It also looks like boundaries, both within yourself and with your relationships with other people. Right. And it also looks like follow through and like really not just setting a boundary, but enforcing it. And I think one of the hardest things is like saying no to yourself sometimes. That's what reparenting can look like. And you know, reparenting isn't about being like the fun parent, quote unquote, or like the fun uncle in your life for yourself. But it's being that consistent caregiver for yourself in the way that you felt like you lacked growing up.
Right. And of course, with nuance too, you know, we talked a lot about like physical, financial, those kinds of things, but also like emotional. Absolutely. And the way that we speak to ourselves, of sometimes looking at those thoughts of our inner critic of, okay, what have I been essentially trained to say to myself versus maybe I need to switch that to more compassion, more understanding, more validation of like, hey, you know, it really is okay for you to be upset that work is really hard right now.
Right.
Like, that's okay too. And so, of course, like with this, it is very personalized. That's, you know, we say this in every episode, I feel like. That's why therapy is specific and personal to you.
Yeah.
Of whatever this looks like for you, that's how we're going to show up.
So right now, what does reparenting look like for like you as a real person?
I'm going to say this, and I already know you're going to look at me and be like, are you really doing this? But
you better not say breaks or saying no.
Kind of. But like trying to make more time for fun.
Oh, I love that.
Just intentional fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But the breaks we're still working on.
That you're going to be like,
or they're just saying no.
I thought you were going to be like, workplace boundaries. But like, I need like a button.
Yeah. What was that from Staples?
The easy button.
Yeah.
I love that though.
But a no button.
I talk to the clients about that a lot of like levity. We need levity. We need fun in our life.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's mine. Trying to make more time for fun. What about you?
Mine is pacing myself physically. As I'm like easing back into exercise, things like that. Really needing that, and also like the acknowledgement of physical discomfort and pain, and the emotions that are attached to it. This is a big one. What helps me a lot is I have like a visual pain scale that like when I'm asked, like it's my spouse that asked me, he's usually saying like, hey, like how you doing today? Like how are you feeling after X, Y, or Z? And like I'll pull up the scale.
Is it the smiles or the faces?
Yeah. But it has these like really cool like descriptors next to it about the emotional tie-ins.
Yeah.
So it's like for some of them it's like I have a hard time focusing on my daily tasks, but I've pushed through them. And like there's another one where it's like I'm ready to curl up in a ball and die. But doing that has been really helpful for me reparenting. That's been a big one.
Nice little check-ins with self.
Yes.
So when it comes to clients, what have you seen has been like either, you know, like small consistent examples of how they're reparenting?
Sometimes I'll give clients the encouragement to pause when they're going through like an invalidation shame spiral. And I'll kind of say, I'll use their own phrasing of like, if the client just said like, I feel like I've screwed up. And I'll say, okay, you just told me you feel like you screwed up. What if we finish that sentence with, and I'm forgiving myself for that, or, and I won't hold this against myself,
little compassion,
or, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I have them repeat that. Once in a while, I'll even have them go say it in the mirror in the restroom. They hate that.
I was about to say, clients love that.
Hate that. And like, I always tell them the real person in me is like, so I'm always like, you don't have to. Sometimes actually people respond better to saying it in their phone camera. Because it's more of like a normal quote unquote experience.
It's like a FaceTime with ourselves.
It's wild 2026. But yes, I'll have them pause and I'll kind of reflect what they've told me. And then we kind of comma and a statement of true unconditional positive regard that they may not have gotten in their childhood consistently. And then we just like sit in that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I feel like a lot of times with this word has come up a ton, but like shame.
Yeah.
And so shame work with that. And Brene Brown, shout out, girl, if you're listening to this podcast, hey, maybe I'll add that into our little thing, one of her books on shame. But the permission slip.
Yeah.
I love doing that with my adults who really struggle with showing up for them is like writing a permission slip that I'm allowed to do this, whether it's I'm allowed to take a break or I'm allowed to say no or whatever it might be, of like, if we still feel like we can't give it to ourselves, that permission slip is a way of like, oh, I have a tangible yes to me right now.
You know, we should get like a prescription pad for the office.
That would
like
be
we both have it.
Amazing.
Because I'm even thinking about like I know like friends or like colleagues that like their clients leave with something every session where it's like they pull a rock and the rock has a word, or like they pull a quote, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get like a prescription quote. It's not real, but like a fake prescription pad.
Fake RX.
Correct. And it's like, here's your permission slip, or here's your prescription to take 5 minutes for yourself.
Ooh.
Or to operate at 0.5 speed and not 1.25 speed.
Talk about whimsy.
Oh, I know. Plus, it would be beautiful.
It would, right? That would be fun. But yeah, no, I like that idea.
Yeah.
But that's typically what the work would look like in there, is like showing up for yourself by writing yourself a permission slip of I'm alled to do this, or I'm allowed to not do this.
I love that. So yeah, again, this inner child work is so unique to us, and it's really natural to be confused by the rhetoric that we see online. It's a lot of, well, sometimes it's having food, but other times it's not having food, or when is it inner child work to say add to cart versus not? If you're confused, first of all, you're not alone. It's even confusing for us as credentialed professionals. But I think it's that reminder of like, this is all about your experiences and your story and your consistent unmet needs growing up. Again, if you have consistent unmet needs growing up, that does not mean that your parents were ultimate failures.
Right.
You know, sometimes that's a different story. Again, there's a lot of trauma tie-ins, but we all have consistent unmet needs from childhood.
Yeah.
Period. No one is perfect in this way. And it happens. And again, your parents could have done anything perfectly, but perception is reality for a child in that way. And so it could have done everything quote unquote right, but if kiddo version of you perceived it in a way, like we might just have to reparent that, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be able to say like, I'm showing up for me right now. Of like, the internet's going to say there's one way or there's another way. But in reality, that is not life. We're all doing the world for the first time. Every day is a new one. So though social media does a great job of pointing out these little buzzwords of saying like, hey, they are present, and potentially making us more aware, recognizing that awareness is not the end. There's also that action towards that of like, okay, how can I show up for me in this moment? Sometimes that means saying yes. Sometimes that means saying no to ourselves. And so really just checking in moment by moment of what that means for you. And also therapy is super helpful with that.
That honestly, I feel like inner child work is one of those where I don't want to say you can't do it alone, because there's always going to be an exception. I would not recommend people do inner child work by themselves. This is one of those.
It's confusing.
Yes. And again, like, it's activating, it's triggering. Like, there's so many of these things. So I will say, like, if you are interested in inner child work, please talk to your therapist if you have one. And if you want to find a therapist who does inner child work, start looking at IFS therapists.
I was going to say, IFS people, this is a Sarah thing.
Yes, look for IFS therapists of internal family systems, because they will automatically click into that mode for you. And those are very trauma informed. And if you don't have a clinician, again, like, that's kind of what to look for in the journey to find one. But yeah, I'd say maybe if you want to start looking into books or podcasts or things like that, written by professionals, not just like a common person, to start that awareness piece. But like we said, awareness isn't change. So if you're looking for that true work, I really recommend seeking a professional for this one.
And you guys, biggest thing, if you are not hearing anything else that we have said today, biggest one is your past is a part of your present. Of like, there are so many times where the way we're showing up to a situation, the way we're responding to a situation is due to things that maybe have happened in childhood that we have not fully allowed to process, fully allowed to flow through. However, that does not excuse harmful behavior and actions of today. Of like, we do have the autonomy and the ability to move differently. And so this gives an opportunity to understand, okay, where's this information coming from? And I'm going to make a different choice now. So just reflect, you guys, some questions. When do I feel younger than I am? What does that part of me need? And how can I respond differently this week? So as you're moving into, okay, inner child, this sounds like it might be for me. First of all, let your therapist know, or potentially talk to a therapist about it. But if you just kind of want to tap in just a little bit for yourself, those 3 questions are amazing.
Absolutely.
We don't have to erase the past.
No.
But we can use it as information moving forward. So
we can't be like in Men in Black where they have like the flashy thing.
I'm not even sure I'd want to, because I would not be making different choices now.
It's like Inside Out. Like, we wouldn't have our islands of personality.
Exactly. It's true. They would be all crumbled.
Sad.
What's the little he's
Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. That's who it is. Our little Bing Bong.
Sad. But as always, Couch Convos is not a substitute for therapy. So if you are in crisis or if it is an emergency, please go to your local emergency room, call 911, call or text 988. Your mental health and well-being is more important than literally everything else, and you deserve care. And if you want to keep up with us, if you want to work with us and everything in between, you can learn more about us at www.soulhavengeorgia.com or catch us on social media on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube,
iTunes, Spotify.
Yeah, Soul Haven Counseling, Couch Combos the Pod, and we'll catch you at the next episode.
Yeah, and if you've made it with us this far and there are potential breaks, thanks for hanging around, because we had some technical difficulties today with
We're nothing if not
the
human.
computer. Yeah. But we'll see y'all next time.